Hello, I'm here to answer your questions. So we had a couple questions on 9.5, 15, and 18. This is 9.5, number 15. 9.5, number 15. Let me pull that up real fast. Okay, so here is number 15. Number 15 says find sine of theta and tangent of theta when cosine of theta equals 2 over 5. So this I basically have to make my own triangle. So I'm going to do that here. Here's my triangle. We know it's a right triangle because I can only use these guys with right triangles. And cosine, remember SOHCAHTOA. It's going to remember if you know SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA means sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. That's what SOHCAHTOA means. If you just write that out every time, it's going to help you. Okay, now we're going to pick an angle. I can pick this angle. I can pick this angle to represent my angle. I'm going to choose this bottom one. This is my angle. Okay, now cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So my adjacent side to this angle is going to be this guy down here. This is adjacent. My hypotenuse is across from my 90 degrees. So here's my hypotenuse here. And then my opposite side is my opposite side of the right angle. So this is my opposite side. Okay, now adjacent is 2. And my hypotenuse here is 5. I just got these numbers from here. Okay, I have to figure out this last side. There's a few ways you could do it. I could do tangent and use opposite. Well, no, I couldn't use tangent. So there's really only one way you can do this. We don't have an angle, or else we could use tangent. We just know the angle is a symbol. So I'm going to Pythagorean theorem this guy and find out what this is. So I have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Remember, my c squared is always my hypotenuse, so this is my c squared, 5 squared. I'm going to put this one in for a. So 2 squared plus, we don't know what this is, let's call it x. X squared equals 5 squared. Now I'm going to put this, 2 squared is 4 plus x squared equals 25. Minus 4 from each side. X squared equals, what is that, 21. Now I'm going to take the square root to get rid of my squared. So x equals the square root of 21, which that doesn't simplify anymore. It's just the square root of 21. Let me just make sure. Yep. Okay. Now I need to find tangent. I got my opposite is the square root 21. So let's first find tangent. Tangent of theta, tangent on my angle, that's what it means, equals opposite over adjacent. Well, my opposite side is square root 21. We just found that out. So this is the square root of 21 over my adjacent side, which is 2. 2. And that's your answer. So where it says tangent theta, you put square root of 2 over 2. Okay, now let's do sine of theta. Sine of theta, that is opposite over hypotenuse. My opposite side is, again, the square root of 21. And my hypotenuse here is 5 over 5. And that's your answer for the sine. And you're done. Okay, so look at this for a minute. Absorb it into your brain. Test is this Friday. Okay, so now we're on 9.5, number 18. It has a triangle in the picture that looks like this. And it says 4,000 is up here. And then it has this angle right here is 34. And then we have this smaller itty bitty triangle, but I'm going to write it bigger. Then we have this triangle with the bottom being 1,500 And my degrees here, I'm trying to look at where the degrees is. It's this angle up here. My degrees here is 19, I think it said. Yep, 19. Okay. So now it says you are traveling underwater on a submarine. We're talking about this triangle right here, 4,000 meters ahead with an angle of depression. And it already did the angle of depression for us, 34 degrees to the bottom of the iceberg. How many meters must the submarine lower to pass the iceberg? So lower, we're looking right here. This is the ocean floor right here. So lower, here's my iceberg where we want to find this guy there. That's my X. Okay, so what can we use? Are we going to use sine? Are we going to use cosine? What can we use to figure this one out? Okay, so let me back up here. It says to the bottom, how many meters must the submarine lower to pass under the iceberg? So he's up here, so I think we actually got to find this X here. How many must he lower to get to the bottom of this iceberg? That's my X. Let me make it darker. There's a glare right there. Okay, so I could use, I got to decide if I'm going to use sine or cosine. Let's label our angles. So according to this angle, this is my opposite side, this is my adjacent side, and this is my hypotenuse. So sine, cosine, or tangent has hypotenuse and adjacent. Which one of those have that? Well, it's got to be cosine, because cosine of an angle is adjacent over hypotenuse. So I'm going to fill in my blanks now. Cosine of 34 equals my adjacent side is 4,000. My hypotenuse is X. Okay, now I'm going to put this over 1, and I'm going to cross multiply. Okay, so now this is X times cosine of 34 equals 4,000 times 1 is just 4,000. Now this right here, this cosine is just a number. That's just a number. So I'm going to divide this by cosine of 34 on each side. So then I get X equals, put 4,000 divided by cosine of 34. That's not right. I didn't do that right. Oh, poop. Okay, so here's my picture for number 18. This is 9.5, number 18. Where you're talking about, here's my water here. And it says we want to find how much the submarine needs to lower before hitting the iceberg. My iceberg is here. This is my iceberg. So this here would be X. We want to find out how much it will lower. This is X right here. Okay, so there's a couple ways of doing this. I'm going to first label the sides of my triangle. So this X is opposite of my angle right here, and my hypotenuse is across from my 90-degree angle. And then my adjacent side is this 4,000. That's adjacent is my 4,000. Okay, so I want something that's going to include 4,000 and going to include X. So what has adjacent and opposite in it? Well, tangent's the only one with both. So we're going to use tangent here. I have tangent of 34 degrees equals opposite. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So X over 4,000. Now I can put tangent of 34 over 1. That means the same thing, and then cross multiply. So I have X times 1, which is this X, and then tangent of 34 times 4,000, which is 4,000, tangent 34. Okay, now I'm going to put that in my calculator, and I get X equals 2698.03. Now, if the submarine lowered it just this amount, it's going to hit the very tip of the iceberg. It's not going to sink to underneath it. It's still going to hit the very bottom of it. So we have to measure this. Let's measure this to the nearest meter. So let's do the nearest meter. It would have to do at least 2,699 meters for it to hit the very, or for it to not hit the iceberg. So So that's what you're going to put for as your answer is 2,699. Don't put the M there, that will mark it as wrong. And that's your answer for that first part. So now for part 2, same kind of thing. It says the sonar system detects a sunken ship. So now we're down this far, and we want to know how much we need to go up to miss the sunken ship, so to pass over the sunken ship. How much we need to rise. Okay, that's this triangle right here. This is the sunken ship triangle. And we want to know this X here. How much do we need to rise so we're not hitting the sunken ship? So we don't want this angle. We want this angle down here. This is the angle of the submarine is going to start turning up and heading up. How do we find that angle? Well, I have a triangle equals 180. 180 minus 90 minus 19 is going to give me that last angle. So I'm going to put that in my calculator. 71. Okay, so I know this angle here is 71. Okay, now let me list all the sides according to this angle here. This is my opposite side. This is my adjacent side. So again, we're going to use tangent. So I have tangent of 71 equals opposite, which is x, over adjacent, 1500. I'm going to put this over 1, right? We could put tangent over 1. Cross multiply. We got x times 1, which is just x, equals 1500 times tangent of 71. I put that in my calculator, 1500 times tangent 71. That is not right. Hang on. Okay, let's back up here. Huh? Okay, so let's use our angle we have here. We have 19, so I'm going to do tangent. This is my, let me start over. Okay, so now on part B, we need to know how much the submarine needs to rise. We want to find X here. We want to know how much the submarine needs to rise so that we cannot hit the sunken ship. So here, we're going to set up the same thing. Here's my triangle from that picture. Here's my angle. X is adjacent to my angle, and 1500 is my opposite side. So I got adjacent and opposite. Those are the two I have. What can I use? I can use tangent. So tangent of 19 equals 1500 over x. Because that's opposite over adjacent. That's what tangent is. Now I'm going to put this over 1, and I'm going to cross multiply. So tangent of 19 equals, or times x is x tangent of 19 equals 1500 times 1 is just 1500. Now we're going to divide this by the tangent of 19 on each side. Okay, now x equals, I'm going to put this right here in my calculator and find out what it is. So I got 1500 divided by a tangent of 19. It's still not right. It's not right. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Okay, so now let's look at part B. So here I'm going to draw, it does have this triangle on here, but that's not going to help you a whole lot. So I'm going to draw a picture of my little submarine here. I don't know what a submarine looks like. It's going to look like a fish. That's what it's going to look like. Okay, here's a submarine here. Now it says the angle of depression. The angle of depression means if I am looking out, it's my angle I'm looking down at. So here's my angle of depression. This right here is 19 degrees. Now the sunken ship is right here. Here's my sunken ship. And then there's my right angle. So we're looking down at my sunken ship. We want to know, we want to know what x is right here. Is that right? I don't know.